gamers. Gamers, we're back. We're back in action again. We're going to be talking about Watch Dogs Legion today. You know that game that everyone's been talking about? It's the talk of the town at the minute, you know? Watch Dogs 3. This amazing game that looks great. What's that? You want to see the new room? This is the first video I've uploaded, so you can see the new fucking room. Look at this shit. It's a fucking mess. Look at the fucking state of this shit, man. To be fair, that's not a mess. And plus, I mean, it's literally the fucking same room you've seen before. Yeah, it's in a bit of a fucking state, to be honest. But that's how it is. Who the fuck there's my foot there. You just saw my fucking bare foot. That's kind of
gay, to be honest. But
can we get on with the fucking video now? Because yeah, that sounds a fucking great idea. That sounds like a fantastic idea. Let's just do that. So, if you know me, then you know that I have sort of a love-hate relationship with the Watch Dogs franchise. I actually think the first game was genuinely a great attempt to make a modern hacker shooter. Yeah, I don't know if that's a real term, but I've coined it. If you watch my Watch Dogs 2 video, it's a hacker shooter. That's what it is. I've came up with a new fucking genre of game. The first Watch Dogs game had its issues, don't get me wrong. The writing was a bit iffy and the characters weren't all that interesting, but the open world was fun and the game was surprisingly beautiful. Considering the fact that it came out during the height of Ubisoft's downgrades, I found myself actually really enjoying Watch Dogs. At least that was until Watch Dogs 2 came along. To cut a long story short, Watch Dogs 2 is one of the worst games I've ever played. It's easily some of Ubisoft's worst work, and that's really saying something, because Ubisoft has come out with some shit over the years. The game was uninspired, filled with an abundance of two-dimensional comic relief characters that I just could not get invested in. The game was over-politicized to fuck, and to top it all off, the game's open world is vacant and pointless. I never felt compelled during my time playing the game to actually partake in side content because 1, I didn't care about the world or characters that I was experiencing, and 2, the side content that I did play consisted of a lot of immensely boring activities like graffitiing walls, shitty e-kart races for some fucking reason, and just generally doing things that aren't fun in the slightest. I was so pressed about Watch Dogs 2 that I even made a video criticising it for its overabundance of flaws and its severe lack of originality or creativity. I have a burning hatred for that game, I'm not going to lie, but we're not here to talk about Watch Dogs 2, no. We're here to talk about the newest upcoming installment in the Watch Dogs franchise, Watch Dogs Legion. So grab a drink, strap in, and let's jump down this fucking rabbit hole. My biggest gripe with Watch Dogs 3 is that the game just looks plain boring. Like, even the premise of the game doesn't excite me whatsoever. The not-so-distant future London, open-world, hacking and third-person shooter gameplay. It should be cool, but Ubisoft have shown us possibly the most dry-looking experience I've seen to date. It makes Watch Dogs 2 appetizing, as in, I'd rather eat the disc of Watch Dogs 2 than play Watch Dogs 3. The idea of playing as anyone is an idea that honestly is only cool to the lowest fucking common denominator. I've never sat there while playing GTA or Saints Row or another similar game and thinking, man, I really wish I could play as that shitty NPC over there. I bet that'd be so fun. I can just imagine Ubisoft's meeting and how they came up with this idea.
So, what would people want from the next Watch Dogs game?
An interesting narrative?
Nah.
A believable and realistic recreation of modern London with lots of meaningful content for players to sink their teeth into?
Nah.
What about a return to form? Watch Dogs 2 was a bit of a change from the first game. Maybe we could try and get a good balance of the two themes to keep the tone of the games consistent and have players coming back for the same tone that they enjoyed from the first two.
Nah.
How about you can play as any NPC you see, meaning that there's no main character, meaning that immediately any semblance of story is thrown out of the window because there is literally no main character to get personally attached to. The player you play as is simply a vessel for you to traverse the open world. You know the problem we have with our other shit game, Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
Oh, that's a fantastic idea. Get this man a fucking raise because we're about to make another completely dog shit idea and build a game around it.
What I'm trying to say is, The decision to remove a main character and instead to have characters as the people of London immediately turned me off of the game. It's a feature that I never thought a company would be stupid enough to put into their game as like a main marketed feature. I would understand if it was a side addition to the game, but no, it's literally a huge part of the game, meaning players are forced into playing as multiple characters even if they don't even want to. The reason why Watch Dogs was fun is because you played as this hardened hacker who had to avenge the death of his niece to put things right in his life. It was fun because the player was given believable reasons as to why they're doing what they're doing, and as much as I hate the game, even Watch Dogs 2 had clear reasoning as to why you're doing what you're doing, because of what the character's motives are. The removal of a central character means that the plot is fundamentally built around complete and utter nothingness, which means the story and world will feel ultimately pointless to me because I have no reason to attach myself to any of it. Also, can we take a minute to appreciate that Ubisoft, out of all the millions and millions of things they could have created, they've decided to make another game set in London when you're trying to gain control over the city and thwart the evil people in power. AC Syndicate was literally the exact same premise. It may just be me, but this game looks boring. Yeah, it's got lots of flashy animations, nice graphics, hell, even the cyberpunk style version of London looks really impressive with the way it's been built. However, it seems as if this is a classic Ubisoft title. One that looks in depth, one that looks cared for, but at the end of the day, it's just going to be another Ubisoft title amongst a plethora of uninspired copycat games that have no true heart put into them. Ultimately, Watch Dogs Legion looks fucking boring. Humour, like many things, is obviously subjective, and I'm not here to criticise people's taste in comedy, but the comedy featured in a lot of the Watch Dogs Legion's promotional and demonstrational material is just plain overdone. I'm not offended by it, trust me, I'll be the last person to be offended over an accent used in a video game, but the stereotypical English accent that most of their characters adopt, aka a fucking Cockney accent, is incredibly overused in this game and in a lot of media in general, and it's not even really a funny accent, and nor is it an accurate representation of Londoners. It's just fucking cringe.
London. Greatest city in the world.
What's my favourite operative up to this evening? And no, I never say that to the others.
Scouting talent, Bagley. So gob shut, eyes peeled, yeah?
You're clear. Sod off.
All right, easy. I'm complying.
What the hell? Is this a meme? This better be a joke or I'm snapping.
On your feet, mate.
Whoa, wait a minute. Are you dead sick?
Hope you're sharper than you look.
Jesus Christ. Someone else beat these dead sick pricks.
So yeah, that's all gone a bit shit.
Also, I just want to clarify, it's not every fucking character in the game, alright? It's not every character in the game has this accent. It's just when the Cockney accent in a lot of games set in England is so utterly overused, it becomes very tiresome to hear so many characters have that accent as well, even if it isn't an accurate representation of what people sound like in that area. And I get it, I do, like the Cockney accent. It's derived from London, like that's where it originated. But if you go to London nowadays, you will struggle to find someone who has like a traditional Cockney Londoner accent. I'm not saying they don't exist, because obviously they fucking do, but it's just there's a lot of diversity in London these days. So many people from so many different walks of life, and narrowing it down to the majority of the characters you come across having this accent, it's just a bit of a shame. Like it just takes me out of the experience, you know, because London is in a way a melting pot of culture. There's so many different cultures and types of people, and you choose to go for this accent. Like, really? Like, I get it. It's the kind of standard go-to accent for many other countries when they think of England, when they think of places like London, but it just isn't accurate, and it takes me out of the experience, which is why I have an issue with it. And it's also seems to be reserved a lot for enemy characters. They did this in Assassin's Creed Syndicate as well. The characters that were good and that you were playing as all had the sort of more fancy, posh-sounding accents, whereas all the enemies seem to be like, oh, fucking hell, I'm some fucking hardened gangster and I've got some Cockney accent. It's like that trope has been overdone to fuck now. Let's maybe have some realistic sounding characters in it, because it sounds so boring when you have the exact same accent over and over again. Having too many characters that have a Cockney accent completely rips me out of the world that you're trying to create. I get that it's not a real representation of London, and that it is fiction, but it still needs to be believable and grounded somewhat in reality, otherwise my suspension of disbelief cannot attach to it as easily. Not many people in London have the stereotypical Londoner accent, because the entire city has been diversified. It's kind of a disservice to London's societal progression to just have everyone have the same shitty unrealistic accent. Obviously it's not every character, but it's a vast majority from the gameplay I've watched, which is a shame because it just makes me cringe whenever I hear it. They've also taken to having characters swear way too much. Like, I get it, us over in the UK swear a lot, like a fucking lot, but it's not every other word for most people. So having the NPCs and characters in game constantly swear is just annoying because it's so unneeded, and again takes me out of the experience because the game is clearly written or overseen by someone who doesn't know what the people in London are actually like. Yeah, there are people that swear a lot, but most people living there are used to being incredibly reserved in public places because they're always surrounded by hundreds of people who just want to get on with their day and escape the rush. To be honest, they should have played on that lack of sense of community. Everyone's quite vocal in Watch Dogs 3. It'd be a lot more eerie and a lot more serious if there was just like people walking around like robots staring at their phones like they do in real life, you know. Obviously don't have everyone in complete fucking silence because that'd just be retarded. But they could have played on that sort of isolated in a massive group of people sort of feeling, and I feel like that would have gone a long way in this game, but what do I know, I'm not even a game developer. In my opinion, it seems as if Watch Dogs Legion's made by people who either A, don't understand London and have only been there a handful of times, or B, Americans that have little to no understanding of English humour, or the diversity of English accents, or even what people are like in London. It looks like Syndicate's representation of London and Londoners is actually going to be better than this one, so I mean, well done Ubisoft Quebec.
Bruh, look at this dude. Wait till you see the... No. Look at the top of his head.
Many of you may have seen that Watch Dogs Legion has been marketed as taking place in post-Brexit London, almost insinuating that results of Brexit will lead to this weird cyberpunk copy version of London in which people are punched in the streets and no one is safe. This is clearly not going to be the effect of Brexit, but obviously with Ubisoft being Ubisoft, they have to shoehorn their shitty politics into games so that I can't enjoy the experience because I'm constantly reminded of their political views. Even in the E3 press conference of the game, the fact that it was set in post-Brexit London, and the emphasis that it was set in post-Brexit London was made so abundantly clear, and as soon as the dude says post-Brexit London, the energy in the room kind of changes a little bit. Watch this clip and judge for yourself, because it's a little bit...
Thank you. Guess I'm going to make you all wait so long, I should really knock it out of the park, huh? I'm Clint Hawking. I'm the creative director of Watch Dogs Legion. And for the past few years, the team and I have had the privilege to work on a game and an innovation that we are very proud of. Watch Dogs Legion is set in London, one of the greatest cities in the world, and it's had a massive influence on all of our culture for centuries. Today, with Brexit, London's at a turning point. It's hard to predict what the future holds for London, for the UK, or for the world. But history has proven time and again that where London goes, all of us go together. In our near future, London is facing her downfall. The UK has become a surveillance state, and freedom has been replaced with fear. Armed drones patrol the streets, deportation squads rip people from their homes, and Granddad is using crypto to buy a new kidney on the black market. But Londoners never surrender. Their resilience and determination is an inspiration to us all, and they are the heroes of our game. All of them.
This may just be me reading into a little bit too much, but to me, when he mentions Brexit, the energy in the room completely changes. And to me, the reason why is because the people in the audience don't fucking care. Like, they don't care about the state of Brexit, they don't care about the state of London, because it doesn't affect them. And at the end of the day, they're at your conference to watch the game. They're not here to learn about what's currently happening in UK politics, because, I mean, as someone who lives in the UK, I'm fucking sick of hearing about Brexit enough as it is. I can't imagine what other people are thinking when it doesn't even affect them. Ubisoft have been very open with their political stance before, however this is more on the nose than anything I've ever seen. Not saying that it upsets me, because with the current state of the political climate in many places in the world, I couldn't really give less of a shit about politics. In a lot of places in the world, democracy is no longer a tool for the people, it's a guise for the government to control people. Which is why a lot of people, including myself, are losing faith slowly in the political systems that we have in place all across the world. But I mean, that's a topic for another day. Let's not get too into it now. However, I just think it's fucking dumb including your real life political opinions and shoving it in the faces of people that play your games. Don't get me wrong, politics in video games can go a long way, as long as it's fictional politics. The Civil War questline from Skyrim, the Nilfgaard vs Redania in The Witcher 3, and the political sections in Assassin's Creed 3 were always very interesting to me because they were fictional or historical, but realistically executed. Including current real-life politics in games does nothing but anger those who disagree and bore those who don't care. And it honestly just makes me cringe. Post-Brexit London is just such a stupid sounding setting for a game. Previously, we've had games set in places like a post-apocalyptic Mojave, the bustling cities of the 1950s Empire Bay, the sprawling landscape of ancient Egypt, the corrupted night city, the wide open fields of turn-of-the-century America, the ever-changing terrain of post-apocalyptic Colorado. And now, with Watch Dogs 3, what you've all been waiting for, the game that is set in post-Brexit London. Just sounds so fucking silly, don't you agree? At the end of the day, we can all agree that Ubisoft's over-politicization of their shit games grinds our gears, because honestly, what purpose does it serve? Literally nothing. It just cheapens the game's setting. All in all, I know there's going to be a lot of you watching this video that are in fact excited for Watch Dogs Legion and clicked on this video because the title was negative and bashful of the game, and fair play. If you're excited for this game, that's only a good thing. Games are meant to be enjoyed, and if you're going to enjoy it, more power to you. This video is more about me vocalizing my opinions. I think this game looks subpar, and I think it's getting way more praise than it should. But that's just me, you know. It's just the opinions of one fucking man on the internet, which holds really no weight whatsoever. But to me, Watch Dogs Legion looks stupidly boring. And that's my verdict. How the fuck did this land like this? What the fuck is going on? That landed so perfectly. My lady. I've got to tip my fedora to you lot.